chair builder here. Well, this is the cost of compliance, a little over $400. I am not impressed, but that is the way things are going to be. I had considered simply not complying with code, but I don't know. I'm a stickler for following codes for safety. It just, in this particular case, it really burns my butt, you know. Situation like where you've got something, okay, let's say you've got knob and tube or something, okay, it's obviously dangerous, okay, like, can we get it out of there, don't allow any modifications and simply ban the stuff, okay, I understand that, but where the customer has the choice of good, better, or best, I don't think that should be mandated by code that they have to absolutely have the best system possible. I mean, I understand where they're going with this, but there was nothing unsafe about my electrical system as I had it before without the arc fault breaker. But I guess now that it's mandated for all new electrical work inside your house, I guess we're gonna have to comply. Not impressed, but oh well. Anyways, I've got myself a new load center. Because it's going to be a sub panel off the main panel, I got the kind of load center that does not have a master breaker on top. Okay, this one here, I guess you can't see with the door closed, but there's no place for a master breaker on top here. This is just strictly a load center sub panel, and it's going to wire directly off of my main panel, and then I got the required breakers, the arc fault for the two circuits, and then the combination arc fault GFI for my outdoor plug, which was perfectly fine before, but now has to be arc fault because I'm adding the new plug onto the circuit. So anyways, we decided that rather than tearing my kitchen wall apart, what I would do is just, since I already had a separate breaker for my outdoor plug, what I would do instead is I would simply splice into that line and bring my two outside plugs, join them together in a junction box, and then run that down to my new breaker box here. And then my new my two lines that I'm running into the hobby room, they're going to run down into the new breaker box as well. And then what I'm going to do, I've got my big heavy duty wire here. That's where we're good for 40 amps on this one. Actually, we're good for 50 amps on it. But anyways, gives us a little bit of leeway. We got ourselves a double breaker, a 40 amper that'll go into the old panel, and then we'll just simply tap that off to run this panel. And I guess one advantage of this whole thing is it does give me a couple extra breakers for you know, to you know, upgrade if I decide to ever do some upgrading in the future, because that simply wasn't an option before. My breaker box was full, so I guess it's kind of a blessing in disguise. So, but anyway, still, I'm out money I hadn't planned on spending, but I guess that's the cost of compliance. So, anyways, decide what you're going to need for holes, I guess. I'm running 3 new circuits, and I have to run power into the box, so I've got my big connector there, and I've got my 3 little connectors here. And you have to put these doohickeys in here. I'm not sure what they're called. Half-inch collars, I guess. Anyways, you just take them apart, you just put one side in here and just screw it on the other side, and then that's pretty much all there is to that. That's a pretty easy operation. Just take a pair of pliers and tighten those down, and you're ready to start wiring after that. Now these plugs that I'm putting in, they come with little nuts here. As you can see, the nuts have little lugs on them, which comes in real handy for this next step here, because if you can't get them tight with a pair of pliers, and usually it's a challenge, what you do is just put it on a surface where you're not going to scratch anything, and get yourself a screwdriver and a hammer. And I know some people don't like to use their screwdrivers like this, but like Red Green says, any tool can be the right tool. So we'll just take a screwdriver and a hammer, and we'll use it like a chisel to pound them into place. And that's done just like this. So you just put that on there, and make sure that you can get those screws. And then you just take your big screwdriver and just catch that lug and just tap it down. It's easy to do this here when it's on the floor. Not quite so easy when it's on the wall. And I think we got those tight enough. Okay, next we're going to take our wire here, and you're just going to want to measure approximately how much wire you're going to need. So just kind of eyeball that. You need to come in and make all of your connections to all of your terminals. Make sure you're running your cables loose in here. So probably about 15-18 inches is usually good. Take a utility knife, just simply cut. Now don't cut too deep when you do. You just want to cut the surface of the insulation here, and then what you want to do is just lightly touch it, put pressure on it, and it'll split as you touch the knife to the surface. It'll actually just split from the pressure. So and you don't even have to cut into the wire itself, because you don't want to be nicking those that insulation, because you wreck that insulation, then you kind of wreck your wire. So just light pressure and bend it, and the insulation will split on its own, just like that. Okay. Now, usually you can just pull it off, just like that. Just rotate it as you go. Now, I'm doing a 40 amp circuit here, so I've got some pretty big wires. This is basically what you use for your stove. That's what I've got here. So you got an electric stove, so there we go. And then got that closed somehow. I suppose a screwdriver would be handy at this point. Just feed your wire through so your insulation is maybe an inch or so past, and then just snug that up. Okay, now once you got your wire inside there nice and secured, we'll just separate these all. Now, the first thing you want to do, you want to take this big wire right here, and we're just going to run that down And we're going these here on both sides here, that's your ground bars. So we're just going to run that down in through there, and we'll take a little bit of the excess out here. And we'll just come back here. Try to keep it so you can see. Okay, so you just run that through your ground bar. You can go either way. I just like to keep these things nice and loose, personal preference, and just take a screwdriver, tighten that down, and you can clip off the excess after that. There we go. Now, then you got three big lugs here, okay? You got your A side of your phase, your B side of your phase, and your return here, which is your neutral. Okay, these two are both hot, and this neutral is as your return. And now, what you want to do is, the white is always your neutral. So we'll just take that and we'll just bend that up over there. That's about how much I need, so I'm just going to cut that off there now. And take a pair of wire strippers, if they'll fit. Oh, mackerel. Okay. Let's see here now. Yeah. I don't think those ones are going to fit. Okay. So, same trick as before, just simply cut your insulation and bend away. Bend it 360 degrees as you go around, and just cut it off. And that insulation will split all the way around. One more little part here. Okay. There we go. Okay, and then take your... Okay. That's different. Usually all three lugs are the same. Appears I need a hex key now. Okay, now we got ourselves a hex key. So, just loosen that off. Get your wires stripped, and that just simply goes into here, like so. Tighten that up, and give it a good snug. There you go. And the same thing with the other two hots. Now the reason you got two hots here, you're actually feeding 240 volts into this, because you're if you notice the way the bar runs here, you've got one bar here and a separate bar here. And that's the way it is on the other panel as well, that I'm tapping into. It's actually 240 volts, and you've got 120 volts on this side, 120 volts on this side, and the neutral is in between them, so I've got 120 volts potential on each side. But if I actually took from one side to the other here, the difference is 240 volts, because you're taking different sides of the phase. Anyways, just slack those off. put your wire in there, snug her down nice and tight, and try not to have that stick through too much, because you don't want to get in the way of your breakers. So there we go. Now we're ready to go put this on the wall, and basically it's just going to go up into the old breaker box, and that's all there is to that. So then we can start wiring our other circuits here. Put a few screws in, make sure you got it nice and solid there. Okay, that's about as firm as she's going to get. I've got the sub panel in place now. I had a rather convenient spot here. It used to be telephone stuff in this area here, but when we did renovations a few years ago, we moved it up here along with a bunch of other multimedia stuff. So we had a little bit of an open space here, so we were able to conveniently mount our sub panel directly below our main panel, and did a very short run. Now basically you want to rough in as much as you can here before you open the panel, and just safety considerations, keep the panel open for a short period as practical. Now I've got it running up into there. The first thing I did was to route the ground wire onto one of the lugs, the grounding lugs at the bottom of the panel, and then I snaked the white wire up in behind all those other wires there, and securely fastened it to the grounding bar, or the neutral bar, which you see on that side there, hidden beneath everything. I've also roughed in a lot of my circuits here. Now this particular circuit here is my outdoor circuit. I've joined the two circuits together in an octagon box, and I've got a line roughed into the new panel, and we're just going to connect all those wires together, black to black, white to white, ground to ground, and make sure the box is grounded. And that's a real simple connection there. Over here are the other two circuits that are affected. That box there right beside my light there, and that's the same situation. We've got two lines coming in, two lines going out, basically one pair to one pair, and black to black, white to white, same thing. Real simple stuff. For the time being, I'm just going to let the red and black wires hang here. When the time comes, I've already popped the 40 amp breaker into the space and removed the old breakers from the old circuits. So that's kind of convenient actually. It does give me one extra slot in my panel, and I'm going to have 5 extra slots in the new sub panel. So that gives me some leeway when I go to renovate the kitchen. I can run a couple of new circuits there, so that'll actually be handy, I guess. Although I was a little reluctant to actually do it at this time. I've removed the old collars that the wires went to go through, and I'm going to be replacing them in the side of the panel with one of these little pop-in caps that will plug the hole there. They don't pop in the easiest. It's usually you bang them in with a hammer. I don't have room to get a hammer in here, so this is going to be interesting. Seems to work. Just get in there with a pair of pliers and squeeze until it drops in. Oh, so much of that. There we go. Just a little bit of pressure is all it takes, just in the right spot. You're generally safe in here, even with the front of the box open, but there are a couple of spots you need to keep your hands out of. These terminals on the front of every one of these breakers, you touch those, they'll give you a good bite. Now you just do the rest of the roughing in. We're going to put these breakers in and close up our panel, and then all we're going to do is to take these two wires, we're going to hook them to the terminals of our new breaker, turn it on, and that's it. We're all done. Now with the grounds installed, it's now time to get on to actually powering up the circuit. Now here's our arc fault GFI breaker, and basically if you look at the writing on the side of the terminals here, you'll see that it has a load side and a neutral side. The load side goes to the black wire, and that goes off to your circuit, and then the neutral side goes to the white wire. That's coming in for your circuit. Okay, and then this coiled white wire, this is what connects to your neutral bar. Okay, you connect that right into any one of there, and then you just simply snap the breaker into place and press it onto the power bar. Okay, now if you got this thing powered up, you know, for God's sake, don't ever touch that power bar, because that's the full power of whatever breaker you've got on the other end of it. That's why I leave these wires unhooked until I'm ready to actually power the whole circuit. Just kind of a safety thing. So we'll just get these wires stripped and get that all put together. Okay, I'm just a little long there. I've got a strip gauge on the side here. Tells you exactly how long to strip your wires. Just check that, make sure we've got the other one the same length. Black one into the power side. Okay. Take this. Take this wire now and put that into the ground bar, or into the neutral bar. Just pick a hole anywhere. Oh, get in there. Okay. Nice and snug. And then you just take your breaker, set it in there, and snap it into place. Let's take your wires and put them out of the way. And just carry on until you're all done. And now with the breakers all safely installed, you can go to the next step, which is to put the face of the panel on. And just take a pair of pliers, pop out the appropriate slots, and just a little wiggle back and forth is all it takes. Few wiggles like that, and that is now, oh, come on, there we go. Take your mounting screws, and away we go. What do we need here? That one. Okay. Okay, once you've got the panel all bolted on nicely secure, you can go on to finishing up the details on the rest of your circuit. In my case, I've got a little wiring to do overhead, and just connect up all my circuits, and then I can put those terminals on in the main panel, and we're ready to fire it up. Okay, the final thing we need to do is hook in the power to our circuit, and we'll just strip the ends of our wires here and just fold them up, and it doesn't really matter which side you put this into. Just make sure you don't hit one of the circuits that are live when you're fooling around with this thing. But make sure that breaker's off, or you'll light yourself up when you touch this. I've seen people do that. Pretty spectacular, because you get sparks flying everywhere when that happens. Okay. And just over that one. And just put a little bit of a bend in it, makes it a little easier. tricky to align these things sometimes. No, I didn't get it. A little bit more bend on it. There we go. I think we got her that time. There we go. Make sure those are firmly in there. All the work is done everywhere else on the circuit. Just lay these wires down neatly. And we're ready for power. Okay, let's go down to our new circuit breakers here, and we'll just turn them on, give them a quick test, and voila, we're functional. So that's about all there is today. So, Pat the Backyard Builder saying have a good day. See you next time.